Okay, so our last concept from 6.2 is После plus genitive. This is a new preposition, although we've kind of seen it around, but we haven't really talked about it or used it specifically. And it means after. Now, in English, we have one way of saying after, and it's after. In Russian, however, there are two ways of saying it, and После is one of them. So let's look at these После expressions first. We use После plus a noun in the genitive case. So, for example, after breakfast, после завтрака, after the concert, после концерта. Nice and easy. После plus a noun in the genitive. Now, here's where it might get confusing. Let's look at this sentence in English. After reading the book, I went home. After reading the book. This first part right here is what we're concerned about, the after clause. After reading the book. Is this a noun? In English, it's kind of hard to say. It's a gerund, so it's formed from a verb. And actually, what this sentence really means is, after I read the book, I went home. Right? We would say in English that these two sentences are synonymous. They mean pretty much the same thing. It's just a different way of expressing it. In Russian, if you have a verbal phrase, so instead of a noun, you're using a verb, you cannot use после, because you can only use после with nouns. So these nouns like после завтрака, после концерта, yes, cool. But after reading, we can't use после in that context. In that case, we're going to say after in a different way. We're going to use когда, when, which we already know this word. Like, this is easy. And the good news is you don't have to worry about case changing or anything, because you're going to have когда and then some verbal expression. Just like we've used with когда all semester. So let's look at an example. Let's look at this example. After I read the book, I went home. Or after reading the book, I went home. We're not going to say после читать книгу. That doesn't work in Russian. Когда я прочитала книгу, я пошла домой. So когда phrase, когда я прочитала книгу, and then what you did after you read it. Я пошла домой. So, pretty straightforward. Let's look at another example. After cooking dinner, I cleaned the dishes. So now, what is this really saying in English? After I cooked dinner, I cleaned the dishes. So are we going to use после or are we going to use когда? We have to use когда because we have a verbal expression here at the beginning. So, когда я приготовила ужин, я почистила посуду. Now, if you're not too sure about whether to choose после or когда, there's a nice little shortcut you can use instead, and that is the expression после этого, which means the same thing as потом, after that. So this is a way to get around deciding whether you have to use после plus a noun or whether you have a phrase that really works better in a verbal form. So let's go with our example again. After reading the book, I went home. So another way to say this is, I read the book, then I went home. Я прочитала книгу. После этого я пошла домой. Потом я пошла домой. So this is one way if you want to have two sentences instead of one. You could combine these with a comma. That would be okay too. But this way you can kind of avoid the whole reading to read, read, reading. This is not so much an issue in English. You can say after reading, after sleeping, after eating, anything. But in Russian, it really depends on whether you have a noun or a verb coming after. So if you have a noun, you're good to go with после plus genitive. После концерта, после завтрака. If you have a verb, don't use после, use когда. Or if you want to just kind of sneak by, use после этого or потом.